Hey guys, it's Chris. From houses that are entirely transparent to ones that just leave you scratching your head. Join me as I reveal 9 of the world's most unusual houses. Number 9. Winchester Mansion. There once was a man named William Winchester, and he was the creator of one of the most legendary rifles in the history of the world, the Winchester rifle. This was the gun that helped tame the Wild West and helped bring a new age of rifle that could be felt in impact for generations to come. William had a wife, Sara, who felt very differently about the guns that her husband was selling. You see, she was told by a fortune teller that the guns that her husband was going to make and get a fortune from were going to be a curse on her, mainly by having her haunted by the spirits of people that were being killed by the guns. Afraid for her life, Sara decided to build an overly elaborate mansion in San Jose, California, one that would have thousands of windows, doors, and hundreds of rooms, all with the purpose of keeping her away from the spirits that were haunting her. Now the house is nothing more than a tourist attraction for those who want to see just how scared Sara was about these spirits. There was even a movie made about the events that led to the building of the house. Number 8. The Transparent House. There's a phrase known as people who live in glass houses should not throw stones, emphasizing that if they had transparent lives, they shouldn't try and cast aspirations that can also be traced back to them. However, the idea of an actual glass house that everyone can see into might sound quite ludicrous, and yet one does indeed exist in a very public place in Japan, known as the Transparent House. It resides in Tokyo, Japan, is 914 square feet, and was constructed by Sou Fujimoto architects. Every single aspect of this house in regard to the outside is see-through. You can see everything that resides in the house from top to bottom. The reason for this design is actually one based off of the principles of living in trees like our ancestors did. The white steel frame structure itself shares no resemblance to a tree, yet the life lived and the moments experienced in this space is a contemporary adaptation of the richness once experienced by the ancient predecessors from the time when they inhabited trees, said Sou Fujimoto. Clearly, this is a house that is meant for people who don't mind being viewed from all angles at all points of the day, which likely is fewer people than you'd think. Including me, I would not want to live there. What about you? And now for number 7, but first be sure to subscribe to World List if you haven't already for more videos like these. Number 7. The Skateboard House. Skateboarding is a sport that started out in swimming pools and then transformed into a global sport that is done by many brave athletes who like to push their bodies and skills to the limits. However, despite a skateboard being a very mobile item that you can do tricks on virtually everywhere, not everyone likes it when you grind on things like public seats, stair rails, and more. Thus was born the idea of the Skateboard House, also known as the PAS House. The house design was thought of by Pierre-Andre Senizerga, a former world champion skateboarder as well as pro skater. He designed a house that would allow you to not only live in it comfortably, but do just about any skateboarding trick you wanted without damaging anything. Within reason, of course. The prototype for this house had 3 separate spaces. The first one includes the living room, dining area, and kitchen. The second one includes a bedroom and bathroom. And the third one, a skateboard practice area. But even in the non-skateboard area, you can do all your tricks without hesitation, especially since the floors warp up into ramps for you to skate on. The first of these houses was set to be built in Malibu, where many feel that skateboarding really took off. Number 6. FALLINGWATER House. Found in Mill Run, Pennsylvania and built in 1935, the house known as Fallingwater is just what you would think it is based on looks. It's a house built on top of a waterfall, but the result was hardly what the initial plans were. The owners of the land, the Kaufmans, contacted famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright to build them a home on their plot of land some distance from Pittsburgh. The problem was that the plot of land that they owned was basically overrun by nature, including the waterfall, and the only house that had ever been built in the area of their plot was a small cabin, which was why Wright was called, because the cabin fell apart. The Kaufmans didn't want the house on the waterfall, but Wright knew it was the best way to go forward with the project, and the result was what many describe as his best work. The finished product had multiple bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, and a view from outside that made it look like something from a painting in the eyes of many. 80 years later, and the house was repaired so it could remain where it is and be a staple of the area. Number 5. KERET house. When you think about a house, one of the things you likely picture is a place of decent size and stature. Because when you have a house, you want to be in a place you can roam and live in and grow in. But in Warsaw, Poland, there's a house that bucks this trend in a rather unusual way. Because the place known as the KERET house is the skinniest house in the world. So what exactly do we mean by skinniest house? Well, it's simple. It means that at its widest, it's only a few feet. In fact, its widest is only 122 centimeters. And the reason for this width is also kind of simple. The house itself was constructed between two buildings already in place, so thus they made the house within the room that they had, which was not much to begin with. So how is this a house, you might be asking? That would be because what it doesn't have in width, it makes up for in height. It goes up quite a ways and has many staircases and ladders that lead to the various rooms in the place. The structure is meant for people on the go, such as writers, as well as to show off the history of architecture in Poland. We deeply believe it will become a symbol of modern Warsaw, ingrained in its complicated history. The house attracts attention of media from the entire world. We hope it will show the most fascinating side of Warsaw, said the project's curators. Number 4. Long Studio. In Fogo Island in Canada, just off of Newfoundland, there's a very long home known as Long Studio. The people of the area are very independent and want to contribute to the world in their own way. To that end, they made the Long Studio to both be a symbol for the seasons of the world and also be a conduit for those who want to do art themselves. This includes having one wall of the studio be basically a massive window, one that allows the person using the studio to get an unparalleled look at the waters outside, as well as letting in the light of the sun and sky to bring positivity to the users themselves. Now, it may seem odd to dedicate a place like this on the edge of waters and other terrain, but for these people who use it and live by it, they see it as a testament to art itself, as well as showing their dedication to the craft themselves. Number 3. The Water Tower Home. Water towers are a part of many towns for a variety of reasons, but in Belgium, a certain water tower used to be a German spy outpost during the Second World War. However, it was later reconstructed into a full-on home where people can live, despite the home itself being 100 feet off the ground. The work was done by Mauro Brigham of Bomb Design Studio, who completely repurposed the water tower to be a livable home. And they succeeded, as the house has a bedroom and a bathroom, a storage space, and even a panoramic terrace. Some remodeling did need to be done, as the outside and the inside of the water tower were slightly damaged, but the repairs allowed the architects to expand the interior in order to let them grow the house more. As if that wasn't enough, the building is equipped with state-of-the-art technology to allow perfect control of the temperature, the sounds in the rooms, and much, much more. Finally, aesthetically, the water tower home doesn't look like a water tower in the traditional sense. Rather, it just looks like a brick home that's really elongated, including having windows going from the ground to the top. Number 2. The Flintstones house. In terms of cartoons in history, the Flintstones is one that has both charmed and inspired many over the years. That includes the late TV host and personality Dick Clark. For one day, he had the idea of having the legendary Flintstones house perfectly recreated with some modern amenities, of course, but in Malibu, California. And that's exactly what he had done. To be clear, the house is not completely made out of stone, but it does have a rocky interior and the visuals to make it look like a place right out of history. But obviously, Dick Clark and his friends had to live there, so thus it has one bedroom and 2 bathrooms, as well as a fireplace and several large glass windows. These windows will let you see the city of Malibu and the local wildlife in many ways. You'll even get a view of the Pacific Ocean. Number 1. Boeing 727 Hotel. A Boeing 727 is a plane that is still very much in use to this day. But in Costa Rica, it's been slightly repurposed to become part of a hotel, one that you can stay in for about a couple $100 a night. But how exactly did this come to be? The answer is that the airplane in question reached the end of its flight life and was sold for $2,000 to a person who spent $4,000 to bring it to Costa Rica. So we're done now, right? Well, not quite. The people behind the hotel then spent a grand total of $24,000 to take the plane and repurpose it into the hotel room you see now. The bedrooms of the hotel suite are inside the plane, while other amenities are built outside of it. The hotel even got another plane and made it into a restaurant called the Cockpit Cottage. The interior of the plane was redesigned with a teak wood style, so it would feel more like a natural room in a hotel in the Costa Rican jungle, and every bedroom has their own private bathroom. Well, thanks for watching. What did you think of these unusual houses? Would you want to live in any one of these places? Do you know of any other place that could have been on the list? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and I'll see you next time.